Welcome to my humble little office.
There we go.
Well, welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 22nd, 2024 at approximately 4:31 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the exact same philosophies that I utilize to gauge virtually every movement I make. With that in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they have worked and they continue to work for me and have worked for hundreds, well, literally thousands of other people with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, this week we've been focusing on mental health and the way it impacts on things. As we discovered a few months back, changing the topic line every day was way too confusing for a lot of people. Most importantly, in this case, me. Yeah, I'm going to move that over there. And look at the beginning up here. And Ellie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I know I covered that earlier. Moonhawk, you are in with the gold. So I do hope things are going well with you. And we go down and Storm is in the room. And heads up, guys, I've been having a conversation. I've been having some very important conversations behind the scene with Storm and LA and LA Moon in order to make sure this place remains safe for pretty much everybody. I will not, for a lot of reasons, and I've already told them, so before people get their pants in a knot, okay, I'm not tolerating infighting. I don't mind cross chatter. Doesn't bother me at all. As a matter of fact, quite frankly, I found cross chatter when you guys are talking amongst yourselves really beneficial for people. Because in case you hadn't noticed, I haven't got all the answers. If I did, I wouldn't be in the shape I'm in. Okay. Now we go down a little further here. We have Christine. You are in with the silver. How you doing? Glad you could join us. And that's where the people end for the moment. I look forward to when we've got a whole lot more people in here. But when we are talking about mental health, it starts with the individual. Okay? But I see way more people coming in lately. And especially since I opened the door on the consulting, so many people are caught up in misinformation. Okay, either in their personal life or in the world around them. Okay, now, number one, like I said, we are not dealing with this issue of infighting. Okay, I don't like bullies. For whatever reason they've become bullies, that doesn't bother me. You know, that's not my biggest concern. There's a lot of ways around it. Okay, but here's the kicker. Okay, I'm going to shut this one down because I know there's a couple of rumors out there, a couple of thought lines. I don't care. I really don't. Okay, I want you guys to consider one thing. What we're looking at is what is the impact of mental health on the consortium itself. Now, let me ask you, when you think about it, do you like being blamed for something that you didn't do? No, it doesn't matter what it was. Maybe you left the dishes on the counter. Okay, or maybe more to the point, somebody else did and you're getting blamed for it. Do you how does getting blamed for something you didn't do, how does that make you feel? The consortium have a real simple problem. Many, many, many people on this planet are going, oh, this is a prison planet. This is a matrix. Guys, get your head out of Hollywood. Number one, if it were a prison planet, we got to understand one thing. You wouldn't have any abductions going on. None. Let's face it. Look at prison on Earth. Okay. And it's primitive, kind of like a luxury hotel in some places, but on Earth, we've got, this is a prison. How many people are getting abducted on a day-to-day basis from the prisons? Okay, take a look at Alcatraz, Sing Sing. These are the big ones in the States that I know of. Okay, or Matsqui up in Canada. I don't know the rest of the names, but look at the high security prisons. How many people are getting abducted? As in, we're going to break you out of prison. We're going to take you, do a bunch of experiments on you, and then we're going to put you back in prison. Now, I'm not certain if there's any logic to that. But if anybody has heard of this happening, let me know. Would be really appreciated. Now, here's the kicker to it. Okay, there are cases where inside under a Terran prison, experiments are being done on people. Absolutely there are. But guys, they're being done inside. Okay, you get your hand, you look at it. These experiments are being done inside by the governing body of the prison. Now, if Earth is a prison, okay, why are there so many people being taken? And why return them? I mean, if they're already breaking law, why not keep them? Okay, I'll tell you, it would solve a lot of the population problem here. Okay, now let's go and look at that thing about, we're living inside a matrix. Hollywood did a fabulous number on you guys. Brilliant number. Because so many of you go, this is all this is all the matrix that we're living in. Newsflash, no. But I'm going to let you guys figure that one out. But just think of the rationality behind it for just a moment. Now, the fact of the matter is, if aliens were of the same mindset, how many of you out there, if somebody accuses you of doing something, falsely accuses you of doing something, are you apt to sit back and say nothing about it? Okay. Are you just going to sit back and go, okay, it's okay, it was a misunderstanding? I'd lay odds the answer is no. Now, I will tell you, I am not about to tell you where I'm seeing cross currents, where I'm seeing problems. But I have point blank talked to Storm and LA Moon. I've also talked to Nathan about it from the Quantum Show, just not as much. But if any infighting starts up in here, they have carte blanche. It's starting, they're gone. Okay, and I've already been told it'll be a 24-hour pop. Don't bother asking me to get it reinstated because I'm not interested in it. Okay, and I've seen the way Storm does it. He tells the person that's overstepping boundaries that, that if they get overstepped, they're banned for they're popped for 24 hours. You can still listen, you just can't say a word. Or at least not that we're going to hear. When you come back, keep in mind, okay, now Storm's got his rules, and I've already given him go-ahead. From my standpoint, it boils down to this. You get popped for 24 hours, there's no problem. Come back 24 hours later. Follow the guidelines. Keep your mouth shut on the infighting, and no problem. By the way, bad news, this is not a democracy. Therefore, this is not a question of, one person is trying to pick a fight with another one. I'm not going to pop both people involved because usually the one that's getting bullied isn't saying anything. Okay, so I'm not going to be doing that. It will be the one opening their mouth. Okay, just so you're clear. Now, here's the funny part about it. What do you think is, since people are so interested, seem to be so interested in putting human traits on aliens, on non-human ancient races, on animals, I love this one, gods. Okay, since you guys are that interested, and I'm talking on the whole, bear in mind, guys, if this does not apply to you, don't take it on. Okay, but what do you think the aliens are going to do if people keep going, oh, we're trapped here, we're an experiment, we're a little, we were put in a petri dish. Guys, you're only in a petri dish because you keep sticking your head in the sand and can't see any further than the sand than the little grains in front of you. Get your head out of the sand. Okay, what are you going to do if the aliens all of a sudden go, well, we're being accused of it, why not? I mean, the Gaddafi and the Eniod already did that. They came in, it was on a positive side for them. People went, oh, you're gods. And I kid you not, the Gaddafi, that's who you know as the Nords. When they came down and the humans went, oh, you're gods. The Gaddafi looked at him and went, great, what does that mean? What do we get out of being gods? Well, we give you this and we give you that and we give you this. Bonus, I'm in. Okay, it was confusing for them because let's face it, they were told, you're gods, this is what it means. Well, if they're getting blamed for your stupidity and your mistakes, what do you think they're going to do in retaliation? Do you really think they're going to turn a blind eye and go, oh, it's okay, they're just an infant race? Okay, certainly they are. But, you guys are absolute children on the galactic side. But when you look at it, humans claim to be advanced. Okay, humans are claiming to be spiritually ahead of the game. I'm telling you, you're not behaving that way. And if I were to worry about it, okay, because I've already talked to these people, and more often right now they're sitting there and going, well, that's twisted. Yes, absolutely, Ellie. I do believe that is a quote out of Ghostbusters. Ray, if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. Absolutely. Now, and you can call me nuts if you want. I've been called a lot of things over the years. I had a conversation directly with God. Okay? And I didn't bow down to his will either. Because frankly, he gave us free will, freedom of choice. Absolutely, Nathan. How you doing? Glad you could join us. And guys, this is Nathan from the Quantum Show. Absolutely, Saturdays, 9 p.m. Pacific. Again, 9 p.m. Pacific. Drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Okay. Now, Nathan, I don't know if you welcome aboard. I think I missed somebody here. I'm just scrolling back up before I put my foot in my mouth. Moonhawk got the gold. Christine got the silver. And we scroll down. Nathan, you are in with the bronze. Oh, not a problem with being late. But I have, if you missed the first couple of minutes, I have decided very emphatically. Long story short, I was looking at the clip from the other night when I popped the gasket. And I just flat out decided, somebody decides they're going to talk about this place being a prison planet again, I'm not interested in it. That is one of those topics that is nothing but fear-mongering and stupid. And Storm, I know you're listening. Somebody decides to call this a prison planet, warn them once, and that's it. Okay, we're not a prison planet. This is not a holographic interactive society. Okay, I'm just not interested in the sidetrack. And let's face it, telling somebody the way I did on Nathan's show, my apologies again for that, absolutely is the wrong way to handle things. Joseph, how you doing? Glad you could join us. That's okay, Joseph. I do the same thing. I also have been known to do the same thing. There was a time when I was going through the mall And whatever was going on, as a friend of mine put it, like we were walking through the mall together. He said something, and I didn't think about it. I said, Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, that's swearing. I understand that. Okay. And this young woman, probably in her mid-80s, comes flying out of the side of one of these side stores, waving her umbrella at me. She's going, "Thou shalt not call thy Lord's name in vain." I never even blinked. I turned around, looked at him, and I said, well, if he'd get his butt down here when I called for him, it wouldn't be in vain now, would it? Now, my buddy, he lost all track of everything and fell on the floor. I'm very simple about it. From my standpoint, it really boils down to this. I don't tolerate it anymore. People have called me a lot of things, and I'm probably going to get called a lot more. But what I will do is tell you, with everybody pointing the finger and blaming the off-worlders for your own problems, sooner or later, if you're unlucky, they will retaliate and they will make them their problems. But understand, if they make them their problems, they're going to deal with them in their way. Now, primary example of how that goes, because they're watching everybody. Humans on the whole are real good at it. It's your fault. It's somebody's fault. It's the elite's fault. It's the government. It's the alien. God is a mean person, right? My buddy of mine, he goes, he believes wholeheartedly in God because, like he said, he's God. He's God's target. There's an old saying that goes, lightning never strikes twice in the same place. My buddy looks at me and goes, I wasn't in the same place both times. God just seems to know where I am, and he just points his finger and goes, that. Now, this is the kind of thing you're looking at with advanced technology. In God's case, way beyond technology. But we're not dealing with the fear-mongering here. Not a snowball's prayer. Okay? I spent my life, this lifetime, avoiding it. Like avoiding people. Avoiding life itself, in all fairness. But do not kid yourself. There are aliens that end up with mental health issues as well. Problem. They've got a solution for it on their planet. You become a problem child where you're not able to function. This doesn't mean that they wipe out anybody with a mental dysfunction. It means if you take that to an extreme and become a problem, you're no longer a problem. Okay? You will be dead. Some innocent people do get cut in the crossfire. Absolutely. Now, I'm lucky. I'm very black and white. And where it comes to, well, that's always entertaining. Well, not gonna fly. But how you doing? Well, glad you could join us. Now I'm hoping that's a rendition of a movie, but still not gonna fly. Now, the reality of it is this. Off-worlders have mental hiccups as well. Absolutely. This room is not where we get mental hiccups. I'm the only one allowed to have mental hiccups. Okay. And don't get me wrong, I am not perfect by any means. But with what I'm seeing happen in the world now I usually avoid politics. And if I'm saying something that's off kilter, I got handed something. I'm just checking for verification because most of you guys are down in the States. Okay. But I got told, that Biden had dropped out of the presidential race. And apparently Trump got pulled out of it. Now, this is what I heard through the grapevine. I'm just looking for verifiable. Or verification is more to the point. Simply because what is going on this planet, you do have to keep an eye on. Off-world, I'm watching what's going on from their end. They're going, why, pray tell? Thank you there, Woo. They're looking up at going, And like I was asked the other day, why is it, the your civilization has essentially evolved? Okay. Has essentially, your civilization has evolved. But the question I keep getting asked is why, pray tell, why is everybody electing people? Why is it that everybody is electing people that are already in their 70s and 80s? You go back 1,000 years, well, you go back 2,500 years. The people that were running countries, okay. I will answer that in 10 seconds there, Joseph. Why is it that you guys are electing people around the world that are in their 60s and 70s? 2,500 years ago, the people being moved into position were in their 30s and 40s. So why the change? Okay. Now, coming back here. Here we are. Joseph goes, why does every alien race seem to remove any personal items, and even you can detect where they had rank, but it's removed on human contact? Oh, what they're trying to do, number one, humans, but we'll cover those one at a time there, Joseph. They remove, I presume you mean their own personal items. Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong on that one there, Joseph. But the reason for it, the reason for it is simple. The less personalized you have it, the easier it is to do an overlay so that it looks more like a dream. If you don't have a functional description that you can work with, it's easier to protect your mind. Is ultimately what they told me was the reason. Okay, same problem with rank. Okay. Yeah. The reason for the rank is because humans are taught to think in military terms. Honestly, most humans don't think in military terms well, but they are taught. So if you're dealing with just a flunky, just a private or a corporal, a low rank, they don't have a lot of power. But somebody walks in with a captain's badge or with a lieutenant's insignia, all of a sudden people get edgy. This is why the things are removed. It's also, where it comes to the personal items, it's also an issue of if an abductee gets a chance, it's easier to get a hold of a personal item than it is something fastened. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question there. Now, Nathan goes, I'm watching events from my little angle. Now I understand why there are breakaway civilizations. Even better now. And here's the thing, Nathan, and all of you. I keep wanting to go, and all y'all. But, and all of you. Okay, when a society is evolving and laws are put in place, if the laws do not apply to everyone, right from the president or prime minister or whatever you want to call it, okay, all the way down to the people on the street. If the laws do not apply to everybody, okay, then you will end up with a breakaway culture. Okay, now, in that event, if the breakaway culture does not make laws that apply to everybody in that culture, it will fracture again. Okay, and by fracturing again, you end up with all these little pocket communities. Right now, mankind is on the verge of trying to, by its own stupidity, and yes, I'll call it stupidity, is on the verge of shattering its own civilization into over 8 billion communities. Okay, 8 billion. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but that's not called unification. Oh, I'm pretty certain you're still listening, Woo. Before you start worrying about Storm, let me explain something all over again. I had a long conversation with Storm and LA. Okay. I decided, okay, not Storm, not LA. I'm not dealing with this issue of trying to distract people, trying to look elsewhere. And here's why. 8 billion people, the massive majority, are spending their life listening to people telling them your world is going to end, you're going to go to hell because you're not doing exactly what I say. The ones that aren't listening to that are watching people play video games. Okay. Now, to me, I think the watching people play video games is akin to watching movies. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, guys. But that is, that side of it, distractions, I absolutely agree. Distractions are necessary. I go for distractions. I spent a couple hours today playing Skyrim. I actually restarted Skyrim again because, well, like you guys, I've got to get my distraction as well. Oh, Nathan goes, it's not just here. Something in the air today. World seems crazier than usual from the macro to the micro. Absolutely. Nathan goes, hey, I didn't know you use Dragon Speak. What use all caps anymore? That should be one use. But the thing is, caps, I don't mind if you've got a question. And the reason for an all cap is so I can find the thing. It's that simple. Okay. Because I will tell you, I miss a lot of them. And this is why I say if you ask a question, speaking of which, Joseph, if you're still in the room, did that answer the question you were looking for? I can't tell who's in the room. So I just go with what's on. Just to be clear, I get 3 people on my stream. That's it. Like 3 comments. And then it moves out of the way. But understand, I reached a point where what I have come to understand is humans on so many cases that I've dealt with are absolutely way more interested in their own outlook and hearing themselves speak. As I said, I don't like hearing me speak. But the fact is, I'm not getting a whole lot of questions in here. And that will come in time, I presume. Okay. But what we got to realize is, and I turned around ages back. Again, I'm the one that pulled the trigger. Well, I'm the one that said, please pull the trigger. Because I don't know how. Okay, it's just that simple. We had a problem in here a number of months ago, which is why Storm and LA have stepped up to the plate. And I just go, I don't want this. I do not desire this kind of problem anymore. Because the reality is, I don't require it. And if I leave this alone, the fact of the matter is, if I don't say something about it, like on the flagship of the consortium, if I see a problem, okay, I open my mouth. Why I haven't been shot, killed, disemboweled, I don't know. I told the commander of the Consortium fleet when I went up to deal with a problem they had. I told the commander, I said, look, if you're too much of a coward to go and get your own people, I'll deal with it. Rest assured, telling a Strazazian that they are a coward is not a good way to make friends. But he didn't tear me apart, so I figure I'm ahead of the game. The reality of it is, people say everybody's entitled to your opinion. Yeah, absolutely are. Everybody's absolutely entitled to their own opinion. I'm entitled to mine. You're entitled to yours. Here's what you're not entitled to. Here's what you're not entitled to. Your opinion, where you're entitled to your opinion, but the rules are simple. And thankfully, Storm is really quick to go. I'm going to go, okay, that's what you've asked. That's what you're getting. I mean, if you scroll up, I think it's still up here. Just scrolling up to make sure. Yep. I laid everything out when I came on the air today. I made the comment directly to Storm, and I'm paraphrasing at this point, that the distractions, you warn them once, and then they go. And his response was, quote unquote, as you wish. Meaning, nobody's to blame here except me. Now, does this mean some of you may turn around and go, oh, you're being too much of a dictator, I'm not going to listen anymore? Don't. I will tell you, the way society is going right now, you guys stay on the path you're on, and you're in serious trouble. Okay? Now, since I opened the can of worms here, okay, Wu did tell us that Kamala Harris will run against Trump in November. Now, I will tell you this. I don't know Kamala Harris. I don't watch the politics. What I will tell you is find somebody that's young. Back them. Do not keep doing this stupid maneuver of putting people that are already in their 60s and 70s. My personal opinion. Okay. I'm looking at it going, whatever's going on in Canada when our election comes up, I'm going to look for the youngest, up and coming that seems to have a brain. Okay. I'm not going with this issue of voting for the older people anymore. The older people, I hate to tell you this, but half of them are brain dead. Now again, that's just my personal opinion on the matter. Okay. So, do understand, when we look at the consortium, there are violent people. Okay. There are pacifists amongst the most violent races. They are considered to have a bit of a mental dysfunction, but they're simply put in other positions where they can work. Nathan is just saying, as an individual, all I can do is start from compassion. Help the people nearest to me. Can't help the world. I see it happening all night, happening too. And unfortunately, this is very much the case. Okay. I keep asking, and I literally keep asking God, why do you keep sending me back here to watch these geniuses repeat the same stupid process? I have watched so many civilizations buckle because of human stupidity. Or, on other planets, I've watched them buckle because of their stupidity. Okay. The reality of it is the Lemurian Empire was the one civilization that buckled because of curiosity. Very poorly thought out experiment that went really sour really fast. But they died out because of a curiosity thing. But we have to make a decision. Everybody in this chat room is more than welcome. If you're being supportive, if you are working on helping along the way, ask questions, absolutely. But like I've touched on politics today, just because I heard something that I'm thinking, if that were right, you guys have a golden opportunity right now. Nathan goes, I am watching an individual here act out a crazy seeming personal chart. And my guide told me not to be involved. Yeah, absolutely. If they're following a completely twisted path, you might want to ignore it. I gotta see what's going on here. I get all kinds of dings, and it even happens to be. Whoop. I just gotta make sure. Oh, there we are. Okay. That's something I'll deal with afterwards. I've just got some personal issues that are a bit of a complication. So I will deal with that afterwards. It's not my kids. I don't need to worry about it. Not right now. Anyway, we have a golden opportunity here. And in the States, as much as things are complicated, up on the flagship, okay, things are complicated there as well. Even especially if you go to the tech lab, okay, they've got a civil war brewing. Well, no, it's under full swing. Okay, they have their own little upstarts. People all of a sudden going, oh, let's distract ourselves. You realize how many people in the consortium are glued to their scanners, watching the comedy down here on Earth. They call it a comedy because the wars you guys have they're like an argument between kindergartners in the sandbox. Okay, it looks more like a sitcom from their end. Yeah, no, I gathered you were talking in your area there, Nathan. But no, so many people in the consortium are staring at their consoles for hours on end. They'll pick one section. Okay, some of them watch the global side, as in the political arena. Some of them watch individuals. Okay, it's no different than us. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you gotta remember, you guys are, you're using, and do not get me wrong, I'm glad you're only using bullets to kill one person at a time. These guys are known to use things that take out in one shot a ship. Okay. Or worse, a planet. Now, fortunately, you guys have not figured out how to make that kind of weaponry yet. Okay. But it's very much an issue of they've got their distractions as well. What we're looking at here is, again, this is a microcosm. This here is a microcosm of what's going on outside of this chat room, and what's going on outside in the real world is a microcosm of the Galactic Empire. I don't remember the show The Orville, but then I didn't watch a whole lot, I don't think. Okay, but what we're looking at is what people are doing is you're spending so much time distracting yourself, blaming the off-worlders, the ancient races, the next door neighbor. Okay, humans have been taught to blame everybody else. Okay, it's that simple. Now, I don't know about you, but this is why when Storm was essentially accused of being the one pulling the plug. Storm pulled the plug, absolutely. But he pulled the plug at my direct request. Okay? Because I don't need the distractions. What I'm looking for is to help you guys find ways to unify the world, not to scatter it to the four winds. And rest assured, there's a lot more winds than four. Okay, but I'm fully expecting, because I came to the conclusion, I kept saying numbers don't really matter. And they don't from the standpoint of what I'm aiming at doing. Okay, what we're striving to do here, it is no question of numbers. And I am fully expecting a number of people to do, and don't ask me who. Okay, but I know some people are going to pull their support from this stream. Okay, I mean, you think about it. What I'm suggesting is quit distracting yourself. And like I said, I'm telling this to humans, to the elephant, to the Gadefni, to the Enion, to the Anunnaki. You get the picture? I'm telling them all the same dang thing. Quit pointing the finger at somebody else. Get off your tail feathers and make the change happen. Okay? You desire your world to be a little better. It's time you do your part. Okay? And picking a fight with somebody based on a misunderstanding is a bad way to create unification. But up on in the consortium, up on the flagship, and the other ships, they have rules, they have guidelines. When you've got a community together, when you've got a lot of people, you have to have some sort of an organization, some sort of a, well, we'll use the term political front to lay things out and keep things running smoothly. Okay, if you don't, what you get is abject chaos. Now, I'm just personally of the opinion this doesn't work well. Okay, if you're not working with each other, well, oh, there we go. I'm guessing that has to do with a show, so I'm going to ignore that because it's a big problem for me. But the reality of it is this: I'm rather on the selfish side. Okay, and here's why I say that, because I know I can hear people going, "You're not selfish." Yeah, and here's why. Every time one of you guys gets into a fight with somebody based on abject stupidity, I feel it. I may not know exactly where it's coming from, but I feel it. Okay, whether it's a person, an animal, a plant, you get the idea. I'm picking it up. So I put rules in place that when they bother me, okay, if I get a bunch of complaints from people saying, hey, there's a problem, okay, then absolutely I will do something with it. Okay, but if it bothers me to start with, I hate to tell you this, guys, but I'm the only one that makes the decisions. Absolutely. Storm and LA come to me and say, look, we've got a suggestion. Okay, as a matter of fact, if I scroll all the way up to the top here, there was a suggestion that they made. Oh, yes. The fourth rule that was put in there. Obscene screen names are not allowed. That was a suggestion brought to me by them because of the fact, and there's I can figure, I kept looking at these names and trying to respond to the people, and it was causing a problem. Okay, well, just like last night on the stream, when my blood sugar went all over the place, it was LA who brought up the issue of, look, there's a problem. Here's a way to solve it. This is why I have them running that side of it. On the consortium, by the way, I am not one of their directors. I'm not a member of their council. Okay. I am a consultant. Absolutely. And the reason for that is because I look at things in a very different fashion. And in this stream, I will absolutely look at the conflicts that are going on and whatever's happening. Okay. And step in if there's a way to do it. Okay. But the technological side, absolutely that Storm's doing. But we've got guidelines in place. And that's how that goes. On the consortium, I have had to run interference. Like, I remember one day, and it was directed at me. I understand I'm a pacifist. But I also found out that when instinct takes over, pacifist is not a good word for it. Okay, but I got confronted by a young Struzosian. Now he was well over the 7-foot mark. Bear in mind, these guys are literally, they're lizards. They're armored, and just I can do that if I can stand up. Just to put that in perspective. Okay, this will give you an idea when we look at size. Okay, this is one of the books I wrote. Now, if you look at this chap right here, okay, well, this guy right here, that's a Struzosian. Matter of fact, that's actually a good friend of mine. This is Jeremiah Wollstrom. Okay, he's the same size I am. You notice the difference in size. Okay, It was one of these Consortiums that literally decided, he looks at me, he looked down on me, can't blame him for that one. He goes, why should I pay attention to you, a simple Solarian, in matters of war? Well, the problem there is, in my mind, it's a messy place to go. Okay. You want to see the way my mind works on occasion? The Elderbalkian Chronicles may just do that for you. Because I'm the one that designed Jeremiah. Yeah, something sharp on my floor and bare feet. This is painful. But that might give you an idea of what you guys are asking about, having aliens come down and walk around in broad daylight. How much panic do you think that's going to cause? Okay. But when we look at mental illness, with most of the races, they have a unified perspective in as much as no matter what walk of life they're coming from, they are still treated as equals, not in ranking, but as they get to see if they get a promotion, they get more rights. Okay. They don't get automatic rights because of the fact that they were born. Okay. Now, there are a number of races we're going to be looking at. When we looked a couple of weeks ago at the reticulans, they are genetically geared and physiologically they take on the shape of something else, of what their talent is. Rachel, how are you doing? Glad you could join us. Humans have different talents. Every one of you, I'm certain, has a talent that really comes across as a sweet spot where you absolutely shine. Okay. But maybe your parents were accountants and you happen to be a spot-on track star. Okay. Possibly that's the issue. Well, many times in human society, people are expected to follow the footsteps of their parents. In the Consortium, people are actually told, look, you desire to learn something else, go over there and learn it. We'll set you up. Because understand, like humans have this brilliant idea, you guys know everything. Well, if you knew everything, you'd be at peace. You wouldn't have illness on the planet. The place wouldn't be rampant with war and starvation. So what we're looking at here is getting people thinking. Okay. Getting people thinking, okay, where am I standing in life? What can I do to make my life better? Okay. When you're dealing off-world, when you're dealing with the Consortium, here's the thing. Okay. Let me ask you this, just in simple terms. Now, bearing in mind the laws of the Consortium, what are the odds with human mind the way it is? What do you think are the odds that humans and the human military getting off the planet would try and conquer a new world, conquer a world if they felt it was technologically behind them? Okay. What are the odds that some faction of human civilization would attempt to do that in spite of the laws? Or maybe because of the laws? Okay. What do you think the odds are that humans would violate that law? And it only takes one, by the way. That's why the world has to come under the guise of a one world government, which is not a dictatorship, which is what humans are trying to build right now. By the way, if you succeed in a dictatorship, I will grant you this. You'll probably get 50, 60, maybe 100 years of abject war as a dictator tries to take over. Okay. If you guys survive that, you'll get past the idea that one world government means dictator. Almost every race in the Consortium, almost every one of them have done the exact same stupid maneuver that humans are doing now. Okay. And I will tell you, if you're sitting there and you're watching and you're listening to people tell you the world is over, it is going to end, and you're going to hell, if you're going to hell, give me a call, okay? Because I got a couple of people I'd like to track down. I didn't get a chance to connect with Charles Manson while he was still alive, right? But if any of you did connect with him and you get to hell, absolutely let him know I'm looking for him. Okay. Yes, I know the man was a bit off kilter by human standards, but talk about a mind. Okay. And this is what I'm referring to. In the consortium, they look at what you're capable of and they go, okay, where are you heading for? Okay. What are you interested in? This is what you're geared for. But if your interest is not in something, no matter how talented, you're going to feel like you're suffering from a burden. Now, I get a kick out of it, how quick people are, and I'll use the term a kick out of it really, really loosely. Okay, but so many people, they do something off kilter or they do something to break a guideline. And the first thing they do is blame somebody else. Okay, and we see this all the time. Okay, I've been guilty of it myself. Okay, now I'm running through my own issues around finances. I've been pretty blatant about that. Okay, got a hold of the lawyer today. Turns out the lawyer is done with the job, like he did his part and signed it off. So, no problem. But I looked at that and went, okay, you've answered that question. I no longer have to go talking to the lawyer. That's no problem. But it does open up a couple of other cans of worms that I'm going to have to deal with. When I see something going on in this room, impulsive perceptions, if I see somebody that is creating a problem, I will likely, if I have enough of it, and bear in mind, you really might want to keep this in mind. Okay, in the consortium, you're told don't go there. You go there, and when we talk about kicking you out of this stream and letting you listen, they're not that nice. If you're on ship and you go to a place you're told that you're forbidden to go, they will also throw you out the door. Of course, in outer space, guys, they call it an airlock. And I don't know how interested you're going to be in looking in from outside. Because I hate to tell you this, but unlike in Star Wars, when Princess Leia ended up outside the airlock, okay, you're not going to live that long. Okay, from what I gather, you're likely going to freeze to death and or boil at the same time. Now, the nice part of it is this. In here, I absolutely welcome questions. Okay, and I don't care who the person is. I will do my best to answer questions. It's that simple. But it is time we start. And as I said, I hinted at getting this sorted around while I was hinting with humans, trying to figure out how to be politically correct and get things across. At the same time, I was standing on the deck of a starship watching an Earthrise and talking to them about what they had to do. One of the biggest things was explaining to them how humans have a tendency of getting a little cocky and their mouth usually goes into gear before their brain does. Now, the reality is, on Earth, you say something that people don't like, they may accuse you of whatever, but they're not likely to cut you in half. And now there are some communities that's possible. And again, guys, if you have questions, absolutely ask. The reality is we've got to make some very definitive decisions about what we are going to work towards. Are we going to continue doing like everybody else and letting things happen and go, okay, how can we distract you from the reality of what's going on? Okay, what can we do to make this world seem a little better than what it is? Not interested. Okay, I'm not interested in showing you in convincing you that the world is in really good shape. It's a shambles, guys. And no, it is not the fault of the elites, the church, the politicians. It's the fault of the common everyday person. Okay. And yes, I've repeated myself on that a number of times. The sad part is, and I'm going to put my foot in my mouth here, because I had somebody come to me one day and go, well, I'm a friend of yours. Can't you bypass this problem? Okay, let's understand something. I've got very few friends. And no, I decided this stream is to help people on the whole, as a complete unit, figure out that it's time to work together. There's a song similar to that, and I forget what it is offhand. I'm just hearing the niggling on in the back of my head. It's time we stop looking for ways to separate, or for ways for people to stand up and go, hey, I'm special. Listen, I want my word to be said. No problem. Let me know and we will work things in. Okay. Yes. I'm standing up here. I'm giving a 2-hour. I told Storm and Lynn M the other day in LA. I told them that, I like working with questions coming into the chat room, because right now it feels quite literally like I'm sitting here doing a 2-hour sermon. Okay, in other words, telling you this is what I'm seeing. Yes, I am constantly asking for your input, because your input. Bob's, how we doing? Glad you could join us. The reality of it is, I ask people for their questions because my opinion is not the only one that is out there. Okay, I don't have all the answers. Oh, welcome back, Nathan. Hopefully you got things worked out with them. The reality is there is a lot going on, and much as I am asking for input, the reality is what I've got is a massive 3-point message for people. This is why we cover spirituality, self-help, and the alien issues. Okay. Well, you got to remember there, Nathan goes, it's the person my guide said hands off. Here's the problem. Your guides, like everybody's guides, tell you what they feel is likely your best move. They are not dictators. Okay? That's the reality of it all, The one really important thing that we got to look at here is, in my eyes, it's simple. We have a golden opportunity. You guys in the States were blessed with an even better one. Right now, you've got to have younger presidential candidates. I strongly encourage you, definitely look at their track record, look at what they're talking about. But put a maximum, in my opinion, and I'm doing this on my own, do understand when I'm talking about going, because I get to vote in my own election. And what I'm going to do is, when I find out who's running, I kid you not, I'm going to find out how old they are. Not how much experience they've got, how old. Okay? And I'm going after one of the younger ones, given that they've got a brain. Okay? I encourage you to do the same thing. I don't, from my standpoint, you want to be a supporter of somebody, absolutely support them. Free will, free choice. Understand, though, you go back 2,500 years. The leaders of countries were in their 30s and 40s, where they still had the energy to get up and get involved in what they're talking about. Okay. Ever wonder why so many leaders, I saw this happen, it's funny, on the Consortium, when they used to have that problem, but they figured out something really neat. Here, on Earth, you go, we're not happy with your performance. So there's this great big long drawn out process of finding out why. on the consortium, 2 people, okay, 2 people, any walk of life can ask for a person to be removed. At which point, you do get looked at, the situation gets looked at, and if the council goes, it's a good idea, the leader will be asked to step down. Okay, and if the leader steps down, there's no problem, and carry on with their life. If they refuse, they're terminated. I don't blame you there, Nathan. You know, the thing there, Nathan goes, it seems I've been running over lately. Oh, it's been running me over lately. My apologize. You know, but no, politics are designed to look absolutely frightening. This is why I say, certainly look at the track record. Now, I know if I were actually able to vote in the States, I know which candidate, if he's running, I know exactly which one I'd be running and I'd be voting for. And I will tell you this, I'm not going to tell you who on air. Okay. But I know if he's running, I know exactly who I'd be voting for. He's the right age in my view. And he's got a brain. Scary combination. On the consortium, they've got people that move into positions because of what they're capable of, because of what they know. Okay. And up there, if you've got mental dysfunction, if people hear you talking about things like, well, get this. If you're in an airport, and you guys all know this, if you're walking through an airport, you do not joke about a bomb. You never even bring it up in a comical joke. It will not end well. On the consortium, in the consortium, they've got the same issue. You bring up the joke of blowing out, of invading another world, and you're in trouble. Mom goes, I remember when Storm 2012 was called Storm and Shadow. That's how old I am. Yeah. Sadly, I know that's how it started a while ago. The reality of it is, from my standpoint, what people want to call themselves, if it's not borderline derogatory or designed to be obscene, then, I don't care what people call it. What people call themselves. I just prefer, because some people I know by name, but I still refer to them by what's posted in the chat room because it's easier for me to remember. Off-world, the way that mankind is carrying on, okay, the consortium is watching this and going, okay, they're doing this to each other, and they're wondering when we're going to show up on Force. I keep getting asked by them, why are they asking when we're going to show up on Force? When almost every time we come down, they open fire and then go, are you friendly? Well, the answer is no. Figure it out. Okay. If you're going to shoot at somebody, I'm betting if you go anywhere in the States and you open fire on somebody, I'm betting they're not going to say yes, I'm friendly. There we go. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while either there, Bob. Nathan's asking, does the consortium or any smaller group does the consortium or any smaller group take humans at a request ever? I know of one case in particular where bear in mind, I've been dealing with them since I was 5. Well, I've been dealing with them since I was 4. I mean, like head on, right? I've seen one person in 57 years that asked if they could go, that was picked up and taken. That person, I believe, has since passed on from life. But it was really late in his life when it happened. Some of you know who it was. If you don't know who it was, I'm not telling you. Okay. There we go. Yeah. It's I remember seeing that in gaming as well. I had a character that literally looked at an opponent and went, I need a weapon. You'll do. Right. And this is why I tell people, when you start looking at Sasquatch and people say, oh, they're violent. I'm telling you, not half as violent as you think. But the water, on the other hand, which look very similar to Sasquatch, okay, they will quite readily take hold of both your arms, rip them both off, and beat your neighbor to death with the wet end. It's comical as all get out. Some of the wars that go down and that go on down on Earth. From my standpoint, war never brought peace. Ever. It brought quiet, but never peace. Okay. From the Consortium standpoint, they look at it going, why are they not shooting those people when they're relaxing? Like, what's this issue of don't shoot when they're there? Right. And there's a lot, you could do an incredible sitcom from that end. The funny part about it from the world standpoint is, yes, some people are making contact and getting ahead and getting to meet people and getting to meet off-worlders face to face. It doesn't happen often because more often than not, even the strongest mind, strongest willed individual buckles in front of some of these people. Okay, maybe I'm just dense. Okay, because I just don't take any of them as any worse or any better than anybody else. Now, when we're dealing with what goes on up there, understand, if humans were to pay attention to what the Consortium is doing in the way of governmental handling, you guys would be amazed how many improvements you can make. But it boils down to realizing that all people are equal in value, not equal in skill, not equal in temperament, but equal in value. Okay, and that's the thing we have to realize. And the biggest thing you gotta understand, I have literally had to walk in between, and I know, you're talking like you got this high position. No, I've got a different position. It's no better than anybody else's. Okay. And quite honestly, I really don't get why they bother listening to me anyway. But I've literally had to get people to look at what they've done through and what they've gone through in order to get them to see each other's side. Now, like I said, probably a decade back now, that'll be more than that, I used to be on KGRA radio. Okay. And when I was on there, I had brought a couple of guests in. One from that was well placed from the Christian, from the church, and from the Roman Catholic Church, and one replaced very nicely in the Church of Satan. I had the two of them agreeing with each other within less than an hour. But that was done because I brought them on. I had an open mind. I asked the questions that were needed with both of them there. And we got it turned around. And I'll tell you, there is nothing better than watching people. Well, there might be, I don't know. But the highlight from my standpoint was watching two people with apparently diametrically opposed viewpoints coming together and understanding each other to the point they can walk off without an argument. By the time we had the stream done, okay, they were getting along. Now, I don't know how you can find something better than that. But I see the same thing with many friendships that are coming apart at the seam because of a major misunderstanding. Okay. Even in my own family, I'm seeing it, as in my own bloodline. Okay. Problem is, in your own bloodline, they don't usually listen to you there either. But don't kid yourself. Mental illness just means, on the whole, you don't think or you don't process in the same way as other people necessarily do. Okay. This is the reality behind what we're looking at. So, I got a really twisted sideways question for you guys. I made the comment earlier that a lot of the time when I'm talking, especially if I've got no interaction, it feels to me like I'm giving a sermon. Okay. And rest assured, yes, I am actually a licensed minister. Okay. I was licensed in 1996 by the Universal Life Church out of California. Okay. But in your eyes, does it seem to you like what I'm doing now is more akin to a sermon than anything else? Because that's half the time what it feels like. Okay. And I think a lot of that is because of the fact that there isn't a lot of input, but from what I was being told, what I was told, that's because I'm covering the information that's necessary. I hope that's the case. You know, when we take a look at the reality of it, this world has a golden opportunity right in front of you. Okay, to sit and to really pull together and change the way society is working. Okay, you got to remember the people in government, even on the consortium, the people in government are a minor percentage. Okay, and I'd be willing to say probably as many as 10%, either down here or up there, work directly for the government. Okay, now the kicker to it is this: that leaves 90% of the people that if you get along, if you work together, if you work together, the 90% will guide the way the government works. Okay, if you don't work together, the 10% guide the way the people work. Which one makes more sense to you? Like, the reality of it is, I look at the consortium going, like I was up there the other day, it was priceless, right? Because so many people down here just talking to me. Jennifer, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I trust things are going well on your end. The funny part about it, I was talking to them up there. There are some of the younger people that are going, bosses, look, humans are saying, why don't we go down and sort it out? Can we please? Can we? And I'm telling you, this is an ongoing debate up there. The neat part about it is the adults up there, right? The seniors that are in power. Well, I shouldn't say the seniors. Very seldom do you put somebody that is already in their latter years into a position of power up on the consortium. And here's why. Okay. When you're a kid, when you're a hatchling, when you're a child, you play around a lot. You figure out who you are. As you become a teenager, okay, and I'm talking racially speaking, not just in humans, I mean across the board on the consortium. You become a teenager, you start taking on responsibilities. By the time you're an adult, you're working your tail feathers to the bone. The way the consortium looks at it is you get into your latter years. You've put your effort in, you've worked your tail feathers to the bone. Now, go sit down, put your feet up, we'll take care of you. Now, how many of you that are in your senior years, and I'm going to call it over 50, how many of you would like the opportunity not to be forced, but the opportunity to sit back and relax. Okay, Joseph, I appreciate the info. According to what Joseph Lorenzen is saying, 22 million approximately work in the government, 19 million in the federal. Okay, now the real question that goes hand in hand with that is you're looking there at 41 million, but what is the overall population of the United States? Okay, what is the population of the area they govern? That's where you look at your percentages. Now, I mean, you're the one that answered, Jennifer. So I'll put it to you this way. You're already at that age. Wouldn't it be nice to have the opportunity to put your feet up and not work your tail feathers to the bone and enjoy some of what you worked hard to get? Or for that matter, worked hard to make sure other people got. I'm looking at this world going, I'm no longer content to sit back and, deal with anything and just wait for it to happen. I was sitting there, I was really depressed about a week and a half ago. And I was looking at it going, I just can't deal with this anymore. It's way too many. Here we go. Well, LA goes 333.3 million, which means if we take, I'm just grabbing my brain box. 333 divided by 41. Okay, that means 8% of the population works for the government. Okay, that means 92% don't. Now, you guys start working together, and this applies to any country. Okay. Yeah, you guys have a few more people. We got a lot more room, but you guys got a few more people. Apparently, we got 38.98 million in Canada, as compared to 333 million in the States. Okay, so comparatively, we're a small town. Okay, but the reality of it is, I'm betting I'm going to come out of that. We're going to get the other information on how many work in the fan. Did I read wrong? Probably. But Joseph is just pointing out, he goes, 41 divided by 33. Oh, I did it the other way around. I did that completely wrong. He is right. It's 12%. Thank you so much for that, Joseph. 41 million working in the government, handling 333 million is 12% or 0.12. Nope. Holy crikey. Okay. Now it is. It's 0.12%. Boy, did I mess up my math. Like I said, I'm not perfect. But that's what I rely on you guys for. So thank you so much for that. But that makes it even bigger. Okay. You're letting 12% of the population dictate whether you're afraid of each other, whether you're starving beside each other, whether or not you're letting things happen. You've got 12% of your population in the States doing this. Now, this does not mean anything about overthrowing the government. This means talk to each other, get to know your neighbors, start working together, and ask for the changes you desire to see. Do not elect people that aren't going to give you the changes that the majority of you, or at least more of you, would like to see happen. Well, this is just it. Joseph goes, they have the big guns. Absolutely they do. But I will tell you, they've got big guns. I'm not even going to go into the schematics of war. But I will tell you this. War is not the way to do it. Okay. War is absolutely, it's never brought peace. It's never brought prosperity. Except for the people handling guns. But I will tell you, we've got a golden opportunity on this planet, wherever you are in the world. You've got a golden opportunity to start making this a better place for virtually everybody. Okay. But it boils down to figuring out how to get along, to looking in the mirror and going, this is what I did wrong. I'll tell you, in my opinion, I did something very wrong. And I'm not afraid to say this one because I did it. Okay. The guy sitting in office right now, I was one of the idiots that, well, in all fairness, I actually bought what he said. Bad idea. I'm one of the people that put that wingnut in office. Do I like him? I won't vote for him again. That's for absolute certainty. But, many people probably will. I will encourage all of you, like I said, take a look when you're looking at the elections coming up. Look for the people that are younger, maybe idealistic, but they're in and they've got the mindset in the right place. Okay, we've got to go back to the old way of putting people in positions of power. Okay, that are young and have an idea of what can work, that aren't stuck in the old fashions. On the consortium, yes, they have a council of 12, but they don't stipulate you have to be X age. The only thing they tell you is you've got to be past the point of being a child in that culture. Okay, bear in mind, that means some of the council could be only a dozen years old. Okay, that's just the reality of it. Oh, and by the way, just to put that in perspective, on the consortium, because they cannot work on a single sun, okay, they literally have a digital clock they work by, not the sun of any given place. So what we got to realize is when we're looking at what they do in the consortium, when they've got somebody that is shell-shocked, is having mental problems, they don't terminate them necessarily, depending on the culture. Okay, in the consortium itself, they assign them to a place where their mental dysfunction can be capitalized on, where they can feel useful. I mean, let's face it, you take somebody with OCD, that everything has to be laid out alphabetically, and they exist in the consortium. You take somebody with that kind of a mental hiccup, where's the best place to move them? Okay, and because they get hung up, they can't work in a regular environment. What is the best job to give them? If they feel everything has to be properly ordered. Okay, anybody got any idea? This is what we're looking at. Is exactly LA. LA goes in a public library filing, whether it's a public library or a government agency or somewhere in between. Doing the filing is a perfect place for them. If you got somebody with that kind of a problem where it comes to numbers, move them into accounting or into coding. Okay, you take perfectionists and put them where they're useful. You don't take somebody with OCD and put them on the military front. They're going to get so caught up with how many bullets are being fired, they're not going to think about how to keep people alive. Okay. This is just the reality of it. And that's the thing with the consortium. They took on and take a look at somebody that's got a mental dysfunction. By the way, LA, welcome back. They take a look at somebody that's got a mental dysfunction and they find a way to use it, because every one of you is an asset to society. even if you don't get along with everybody around you. Okay, that's just the reality behind it. And what we're looking at now is a beautiful opportunity to turn around and see which way things can go. I lost something. I'm carrying it over here. So what we take a look at is this. Okay, watch what's good. We are going to, by the way, let me pull up the document here. This one. Okay, now, by the way, I've now got, this is just a bit of a sidetrack. I now have a list of topics laid out for the next, 10 weeks. Okay, one of which is we are going to look in detail, and I think I've covered this before, but we're going to look in detail in about a month and a half as it stands right now to the way the consortium actually operates. If you have a topic, if you've got a question, you've got a field you'd like us to look at, let me know. Okay, because I can adjust things as I go along. But I'm putting a list together now. I'm already booked for 2.5 months down the road. Okay, but when we look at the consortium, they find anybody that's got a mental illness. Now, granted, homicidal maniac, no problem. If they're homicidal, they will be either put to work in the military, or if they can't get them to the military, if they're that dangerous, they will put them out of their misery. Okay, but the first thing they do is look for a way to utilize the talents of everybody. Okay, let's face it. If you're vertically challenged, you're not getting a job washing the windows on a 10-story building. If they've got the option of taking somebody that happens to be 40 feet tall, okay, they'll put him washing windows because he's better suited to it. Not because he's a different race or a different gender, just because of the fact the man is huge. Okay, the neat part when you look at mental illness is people call it mental illness. Okay, because it doesn't match exactly what the individual says, what the individual believes in. Okay, this is where we have to look in the mirror and go, okay, yeah, they absolutely do. Now, here's the thing. Jennifer's going health and healing the body. That is what they focus on. They do, the people in the consortium, every one of the races that is in the consortium has already got a global government. But understand, a global government is not a dictatorship. Okay. And come to think of it, let me pull that up here. Because I think we're going to have to deal with that down the road. Nope, that. What we got? Alien. Okay, I got to find a different topic here. Just because I'm on that long wavelength. In the realm of the alien world, races, whatever. I'm trying to plug a hole here. 9 weeks there is, what is it? Yeah, 9 weeks down the road, 8 weeks down the road. I'm trying to plug the hole with a topic regarding aliens. Whether that is an item, a program, a specific race, don't care. Okay, any suggestions will be appreciated. I got lots of time for it, so I'm not in a panic by any means. And thank you, LA. We are now down to the 30-minute mark. Okay, the reality of it is all the things we're talking about here, we're going to end up getting to. But as I find, if I could just say, be nice to each other, be nice to each other, be respectful and non-disruptive, I would absolutely leave that as the only guidelines. That unfortunately doesn't work. Okay, or more to the point, hasn't worked. Now, when we take a look at the consortium, and yes, I am putting a small booklet together, as a matter of fact, that reminds me. Do I have that there? No. Ouch. That hurt. I am looking for my sheet. That is apparently not what I wanted. That's okay. It's somewhere back here on my operational desk. So, no, this one. This is that fine little clipboard I keep hanging on to. Because on this, it will enable me to set things out. Where are we here? LA goes, I'd like to see how aliens apply healthcare. Do they have doctors or hospitals? Actually, that is an excellent topic. And the short answer, because obviously I'm not getting into that in depth right now, but you just saved me a whole lot of hassle. And this is what I mean by first come, first serve. Okay. The option came up. LA Moon jumped on it. And what we now have scheduled is we will be looking at not alien healthcare, the consortium healthcare. There we are. Of course, again, spell apparently. There we go. In 2 months roughly, we will deal with the consortium healthcare. Thank you so much for the idea. I appreciate it. Yeah, get that out of the way. Yeah, absolutely, LA. This just gives me something to start on. Okay. Because the way I figured, if I, this is the microcosm. Okay. And all of these topics, as has just been posted up in the screen. Thank you there, Storm. On the screen there. All of these topics are going to be dealt with in positive perspectives and positive perceptions. At the same time, I'm utilizing this tool, and this is why I say I'm a bit selfish on this one, because it came to my attention that as I'm helping you guys play it out, I'm turning around and going, I've got to make these adjustments. Okay, so this saves me a whole lot of hassle. The fact of the matter is, stress is often caused by lack of planning. Okay, or as the saying goes, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. Okay, now with that in mind, this is why I've started the idea of, okay, here's the book I've got coming out. And that reminds me, I was supposed to grab this to do this. Put my glass over there so I can see the right. I come up with these little ideas, and half of the information that is now coming out, what I'm figuring out is I can take this and turn it into smaller booklets that are easier to digest. Because I'm telling you, Races of the World Volume 2, no, not Volume 2, second printing, has gone from 60 pages to over 90. Okay. So it is expanding. But I'm going to be pulling that information into smaller booklets, into a contained format. Okay. But it's the same work, which means it's just a little bit of jumping around. Okay. I put things on hold way too long. But I'm now getting organized to the point it's not a big problem. Okay. Stress level's still off the chart. And one of the reasons why I've taken to putting boundaries in here, And I absolutely have told, I even told my contacts topside, yeah, you have a problem, talk to me. Come and collect me, but understand, my family comes first. Period. And one of the ones I was talking to was being a bit of an upstart. And he looks at me and he goes, well, what if your family is dead? I looked at him and I said, if they die by confirmed natural causes, and understand my instincts, not the medicals, right? If they pass because of that, then I'll deal with it. If they are taken out, you guys can crawl under a rock because they ain't going to matter to me. Okay. And in all fairness, as cold as that probably sounds, this is why I put boundaries in place here. This is why I've asked Storm to look at things coming in and go, if this happens, you give one warning. If they don't take it, I'm done playing. I already had a heart attack based on stress coming out of here. I lost my cool on Nathan's show, and I've apologized for it. But because of the stupidity, I'm not inviting it into my world anymore. Will I entertain rational questions and non-derogatory ones that are intention where you're actually aiming to learn? Absolutely ask. Okay, I do not mind questions. I actually encourage them. But will I tolerate stupid things or absolutely fear-mongering ideas? Not going to handle it. Okay, I don't desire it in my life. I'm certainly not going to promote it into yours. One of the things I have to look at is that the way this world is sitting, we're at a golden opportunity here. And this is why there's been so much more in the way of activity. They're watching mankind evolve. You're taking your next step. Okay. Moonhawk. Do they trade stuff? Yes. Gold? Not at all. Gold is not the most valuable or versatile mineral they have. But their currency is based on what has been deemed man hours. Period. If you figure, they say, okay, the whole thing is based on man hour, meaning it's only going to take an hour to clean a room. Okay, you clean a room for anybody, it counts as 1 man hour that gets banked. If it costs, if it takes a man hour to make a gourmet meal, okay, including paying for it the whole 9 yards. If it takes a man hour to do that, then you go, I'm going to cash in my 1 man hour for that. But here's the backup. Okay. Here's the way they handle that neat little computer hiccup that we've got. It all goes through a central banking system, through a simple, it's actually a quantum crystal computer. But everybody is tied, the whole system is tied together. But everybody has their own data pack, if you will, their own cell phone. Okay. And when you do a job, you enter it in the cell phone. Okay. Then it uploads to the other end. Okay, then it uploads to the Consortium hub. And here's the kicker. If there is a problem, the thing on the cell phone is used, it's deemed as the priority, not the one at the hub. The hub is the backup. The answer to your question there, LA, is there such a thing as bankruptcy? No, absolutely not. Because the fact of the matter is, if you didn't do the man-hour work to get it in the first place, you can't get it. There's no such thing as a loan. Okay, you can make a contract that says you will work X number of hours. But here's the catch on it. Okay, the reason there's no bankruptcy is this. Let's say you swing a contract and you go, I'll work this many hours for you in order to get this. And the guy goes, okay, here it is. Now you work X number. also known as voluntary indenturement. Okay, but here's the kicker. On Earth, you don't pay your loan. Okay, you don't pay for your lease. They add interest. In the consortium, you don't fulfill your contract. They kill you. That's it. There is no extra. You're just dead. Okay, it's a pretty good reason to pay your bill. Now, here's a really twisted piece of cross current. If you think you're on the verge of bankruptcy, I am not a bankruptcy insolvency trustee, but I know, because I've done it in the past, I can guide you out of bankruptcy before you go into it. And yes, I know I'm in Canada and your laws are different in the States. Laws are different, but the principle isn't. Numbers will vary, but the principle won't. And it's a methodology that I teach. Okay, so if you think you're in danger of going bankrupt and you're trying to avoid it, which, by the way, the only people that actually benefit from your going bankrupt is actually the bankruptcy trustee. Okay, and one day maybe I'll explain that to you. As a matter of fact, I think I've already got that on my list. Let's see. There. Whoop, wrong. There. Oh, well, that's always handy. We will have to post that in, but I don't know where yet. Minimize that. The fact of the matter is, where it comes to the option of bankruptcy, the consortium doesn't do it. By the way, the consortium itself, they've got a real neat thing. Yes, there is a black market. There are criminals. But you got to remember, if you're caught, for instance, if you're caught smuggling or trafficking, okay, they have a very simple solution. Oh, look, we caught you smuggling something in on our ship, into our station. We will hang on to the ship and the cargo. You're out the airlock. Problem solved. It doesn't stop crime, but it absolutely reduces the number of repeat offenders. Okay, and again, you always find somebody, like, if you've got this kind of an issue, what is the person with the best type of mental illness? What mental illness would you look for if you want somebody to just blatantly toss somebody out the airlock? What kind of a mental illness, in human terms, would be best suited to do that without causing extra problems? Bear in mind, executioners on Earth still suffer trauma from having to do that. So, what kind of a mental illness do you think would be best suited to that position? Like I said, everybody has a value. Everybody has a strong suit. All of you have hiccups. One of the biggest hiccups that I ran into, was I used to, and I really did, I'd look at it and go, I'm going through all this garbage. I even said earlier tonight, why did God keep sending me back here to watch this garbage? God didn't. I made an agreement with Esau herself when she first came to be that I would be here, which means I die. I'm still here for the next roughly probably 5 billion years. I won't be going far. I've already told my other half, I'm here for the next, I am on this planet for quite some time yet. Okay, so that's just the way that's going to go. But what I'm looking at, when I take a look at this whole issue of the airlock, you always put somebody in there that is a complete sociopath. They have no connection to guilt, to cause and effect. Just do the job. Okay, fire that kind of guy out the airlock. Don't worry about whether it's, you got to let go of the idea that it used to be a husband, a wife, a co-worker, whatever. Okay. Find somebody who's not going to cause a problem for it. Okay. Or you turn the guy, it works out really well. You turn it over to a war. The problem there, they won't use the airlock. Those guys will just tear you apart. Now I'm not certain, but I think that's a little off kilter, at least from my eyes. Now, what we are looking at is a world that is changing, and you've got a golden opportunity. Now, many of you will turn around and go, and I'm going to go back down that really controversial level. Okay, I am a firm believer that as the world stands right now, a democracy is still your best bet. There are hiccups with it, absolutely. But here's your chance to do something with it. You guys, and I know in the States you've got an election coming up. I understand we've got one coming up in Canada. I don't know about the rest of the world. But when your election comes up, I strongly encourage you, whether you like the electoral system or not, from what I've seen, it works. Go down and vote. But I will tell you, I won't tell you which candidate to vote for. I will tell you the age bracket. Find somebody with an IQ, somebody with a good head on their shoulders that happens to be between 30 and 40 years old. They're old enough to have experienced a little to understand some, and they're young enough to actually have to live with their choices. Okay, that's the kind of person you desire in there. Thank you so much, LA. See, I always know, I could take this as an insult. LA loses focus on the time when the topic is good. So we can surmise this one wasn't as good, but hey, I'm looking at going, these are all things that really require observation and examination. Now, the reality of it is this. On the Consortium, they, on their flagship and throughout their realm, they have all kinds of different laws they deal with. Okay. And one of the big things you got to understand with them is they are trying to run 2,500 member races and then some. Okay. And as they're doing that, what you're looking at is a really neat situation. They've got to find a balance point for different species. You guys only have to find a balance point for different races. You're all members of the same species. Almost all of you. I do know of a few hybrids, a few half-breeds in here. Okay, and I don't mean in this room. I mean a few that I've run into. I'm not about to point fingers or point names. Because half the time I don't remember the people's names. And I certainly don't remember where they're living now. One of the things, no problem really. The reality of it is, I came to the conclusion that I'm simply going to be looking at topics that I feel have to be dealt with. And I'm quite willing to adjust them. Because right now, like I said, I'm booked 2.5, laid it out for 2.5 months down the road. And I do have a pattern. Let me just call that up so I can lay this out properly. Okay. We are starting right now with self-help. Then we go to a week with the spiritual side. Then we go for a week with the alien side. Then we go back to self-help. But if I pop something in there in the middle, it will be customer request or customer listener request. And we'll just shut things down. But I don't have to interrupt my thought process. Makes it so much easier. Because I tell you, my thought process is scattered on occasion. As in too many things going on. But as I come across the topics, I will keep adding down the road. I could conceivably be booking a year down the road or planning a year down the road. But I only post a week down the road. So when I get done tomorrow, and I might even do it today, I don't know. But I will start advertising for next week, this week. Next week, by the way, means Friday. Because on Friday we are going to the spiritual side of things. We're going to look at the impact and purpose of rituals and prayer. Yeah, we're going into that funny thing called the religious world. And no, I'm not about to sit here and start reading passages out of the Bible. Okay, ain't no way I'm doing that, but I will explain why people are drawn to the Bible, why they're drawn to the Quran, why they're drawn to this sort of thing, or the rituals. I'm not going to go into detail on any one given ritual or any one given religion. I will answer questions as best I can. But what I'm not going to do, and this is really important for that point, is we are not going to be picking one religion and going, this one's better than everybody else's. We already threw somebody out of here because they wouldn't get off that line. I will tell you this. The short answer is the truth is split up amongst all of those beliefs. But when we look at mental health in the consortium, understand they've got just as many misfires. They get a lot more people suffering from PTSD, numerically speaking. But you got to remember, when they're dealing with a starship, with a generation ship that carries 1 million people on it, okay, and you've got 15,000 generation ships out there, and that's just a wild number I saw pulled out of the hat. I have no idea. Okay, what I will tell you is there is a neat little planet-killing weapon out there. That, yes, and I forget what the name is. I've got it written down, but it does look like a Death Star with that kind of firepower. But here's the kicker to it: there is not a one in this solar system anywhere, because they only come into a solar system when they are removing a problem. That's just the reality of it. Now, I'm looking at this going, we've got a lot of work to do over the next little while. And right now, in contrary to popular belief, as I can tell, we are not doomed to go into 1,000 years of, into even 20 years of chaos. However, if you don't start working together, you're going to let the people that are currently in power drive you guys into a war zone. Now, do understand, hats off to everybody that is in the military and everybody that has served, as well as first responders. It's people like you that protect our ability to live in a world where we're able to say something. Okay, absolute hats off. Now, with that in mind, I do believe, and keep closing that down where I can't see it. Okay. The reality of it is, and we are getting down there. So, the fact of the matter is, when you look at what's going on in this world, this is what most of the alien races went through before they got there. Okay, before they got to where they are. Now, I've just been told we just hit the 5-minute mark. So, with that in mind, guys, thanks so much for sharing your time with me tonight. I really appreciate it. I will be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are still dealing with mental health, by the way. But tomorrow, we're going to deal with practical, hands-on tools that you can use in conjunction with whatever treatment you're already getting. This is not replacement therapy. These are tools that have worked for other people, but they are done in conjunction with the medication or the method you're using. Okay, we'll be dealing with that tomorrow. For tonight, though, thanks so very much for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. for sharing your time with us, really. Okay. Look what I just do. I just shut things down so I can't see. Okay. I will be back again then. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.